Welcome to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. Are you trying to master the game of life without success? There are secrets and strategies to living your best life. We'll share some of them with you on today's show. Take advantage of this series to become an expert at relationships. All relationships. It's time to live the life that you deserve to live. Now, here's your host, Sandra Reish.
Welcome to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish, a show about living your very best life. I am super excited today. I have on really one of my heroes, a man who changed my life in so many different ways, and a very, very famous doctor. Let me tell you about him, and then I'll explain a little bit more how he personally impacted me and the incredible work he's doing to change all of our lives. Dr. Michael Greger is a physician, an author, and an internationally recognized speaker on a number of important public health issues, I'll say. Now, one of the things that really impresses me about him is that all proceeds from his speaking engagements and the sale of his books and DVDs are donated to charity. So when he does research, he is not biased. He is not making money off of it. His nonprofit site, nutritionfacts.org, you want to write that down, nutritionfacts.org, is the first science-based non-commercial website to provide free daily videos and articles on the latest discoveries in nutrition. Oh boy, I'm so excited. After we take our break, we're going to have him with us to answer all sorts of questions, and I hope you'll join in the discussion. You can call us at 1-866-472-5792. And Dr. Greger, I first met him I went on a health cruise where the topic on the cruise was health issues and nutrition. And he was one of the speakers. And as soon as he started speaking, I was pretty much blown away. He's a fantastic speaker, but more important than that, he is a brilliant, brilliant man who has really dedicated his life to helping people understand how what you eat really will affect the quality of your life. So I've asked him, he's been on the show before, and I've asked him, and he often shares the story of why he became so interested in helping people with nutrition to change their lives. And I want to share it with you is that when Dr. Greger was a kid, his grandmother was diagnosed with end-stage heart disease and sent home to die. She had bypass surgeries. She was scarred up. They were told there was nothing they could do. She was confined to a wheelchair. She had crushing chest pain, and they told her your life is over. And she was 65 years old, and she was very dear to Dr. Greger. But one day she heard about a guy called Nathan Pritikin, which is one of the early lifestyle medicine pioneers. And he's written many books. And actually what happened next is in his biography is he would sometimes bring in people that he called death's door people. And Dr. Greger's grandmother, Frances Greger, arrived in a wheelchair at the Pritikin Clinic, and she had heart disease, angina, and her condition was so bad that she couldn't walk without great pain in her chest and legs. Now, here's the punchline. Within 3 weeks of changing her diet, she was not only out of her wheelchair, she was walking 10 miles a day. So that's pretty huge. And let's continue, is that Dr. Greger's grandmother went on to live another 31 years on this earth. She got to be at her grandson's wedding. She got to enjoy every occasion in the Greger family, thanks solely to a healthy diet. She could live till the age of 96 with 6 grandkids, including Dr. Greger. And that is why Dr. Greger went into medicine. And that's the kind of story that just gives me the chills. And I think it probably does for you too. So I met Dr. Greger, I heard what he had to say, and I became very interested in his website, nutritionfacts.org, a nonprofit site. He makes no money on it. He solely goes through research study after research study. I mean, I know we're all sick of going all the time and opening our newspaper or our Facebook and hearing, oh, olive oil is good for you. Oh, olive oil is bad for you. And you don't know whether you're coming or going. So here's what I do. Is I go on nutritionfacts.org, I punch in olive oil, and there's going to be videos and articles where Dr. Greger has gone through all the different research, all the studies, pushed out all the ones that are, biased or there's a profit factor because, a lot of these studies are paid for by the company, like the olive oil company or the tobacco company. So he gets rid of, like he likes to say, he goes through all the studies so we don't have to. He puts them on his website, and then we can find out what we need to do to eat well and live a long life disease-free. So we're going to come back with Dr. Greger in a few minutes, and I hope that you will enjoy him as much as I do. He is a character. He feels very strongly about things. And another thing that I think would be good to know is he's written a best-selling book called How Not to Die. And it literally goes through chapter of the different 10 most common ways that people do die and what you can do with your daily diet to make sure that doesn't happen to you. I mean, imagine that. And he has something in that book called A Daily Dozen. I can't recommend it enough. It's an app. You can put it even on your phone where it tells you the things you need to eat every day if you want to live not only a long life, but a quality of life. He changed my life, and I think that he's been on Straight Talk before. We only have him for a little time today, but I think that you all will enjoy him as much as I do. So we'll be right back with Straight Talk with Sandra Reish.
Your life, your health, your network. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Spa Munari is a full-service wellness day spa located at the heart of West Island, Quebec. Submerge yourself in beauty with one of our many treatments, specially catered to your needs. We offer facials, manicures, pedicures, hair removal, massages, body treatments, and so much more. Enjoy our ultimate relaxation experience with our spa packages. We offer a men's menu as well. Call us today to book your next appointment at 514-695-5040 or visit us on the web at spamunari.com. That's 514-695-5040 or spamunari.com.
Join the therapist who is affectionately known as the Couple Whisperer, Sandra Reish, on her famous couple retreats and change your life forever. Sandra offers couple retreats in beautiful locations several times a year that can radically change your love life. Couples describe her retreats as life-changing. Regain that loving feeling, bring your intimacy to a new level, and rediscover excitement and joy. Find out more at helpforanxietydepression.com or call 514-796-4357. We all want love and safety. Now you can have it. Call 514-796-4357 or helpforanxietydepression.com.
Change your life forever with the latest cutting-edge products for home study treatment for anxiety, featuring the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and host of Straight Talk, Sandra Reish. Sandra is joined by top therapist Georgia Dow in this revolutionary anxiety videos therapy series. Thousands of people have benefited from this scientifically proven treatment approach. Isn't it time you chose yourself? Visit anxiety-videos.com right now. That's anxiety-videos.com and change your life forever.
A fresh look at today's health. Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reish.
So he's here. Dr. Greger's in the house. Welcome to Straight Talk again, Dr. Greger.
So glad to be back.
So happy to have you. So I'm going to jump right into it. For people who haven't heard you before, big question, what is the holy grail of health in your opinion?
The Holy Grail of health is not, who cares what my opinion is? How about what the science says? The Global
Yeah.
Burden of Disease Study, the largest study of disease risk factors in human history, funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, found the number one cause of death in these United States, it's our diet. Number one cause of disability, our diet. Currently bumping tobacco smoking to number two. Now cigarettes only kill about 500,000 Americans every year, whereas our diet kills hundreds of thousands more. So yes, in terms of what we put in our mouths, cigarettes are important, but even more important is the food 3 times a day.
Where are we going wrong on that food? What are we eating that's so bad for us?
Well, the best available balance of evidence suggests the healthiest diet is one that minimizes the intake of meat, eggs, dairy, and processed junk, and maximizes the intake of fruits, vegetables, legumes, which are beans, split peas, chickpeas, and lentils, whole grains, nuts and seeds, mushrooms, herbs, and spices. Basically, a real food that grows out of the ground. These are our healthiest choices.
Whole food, plant-based, correct?
That's the more we can center our diet around whole, healthy plant foods, the better. It doesn't matter what you eat on your birthday, holiday, special occasions, but on a day-to-day basis, we really should try to eat healthy.
Okay, so one of the things that's come up since the last time you've been on the show is that there's a lot of talk here in Canada anyways, there's a lot of press in the newspaper all over the place that fructose is a very bad thing. And people come to me and say, well, that proves that you should not be eating a lot of fruit. Dr. Greger, can you clear this up for us?
Oh, absolutely. So indeed, industrial sugar, so that's table sugar and high fructose corn syrup, in excess cause problems, cause obesity, cause it's called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and hypertension. And so these metabolic disturbances from too much of these added sugars in our diet. And so I think it's natural for people to think, wow, I didn't know sugar was bad for me. Well, isn't there sugar in an apple? Should I not eat apples? Mm-hmm. Well, researchers have put this to the test. So the reason one of the reasons these refined sugars are so bad for you is when you do what's called a glucose tolerance test, or basically you take a glass of water and put a tablespoon of table sugar in it, and you chug it down, and you can see this huge exaggerated spike in people's blood sugar when you do that. In fact, so high, because it's so unphysiological. I mean, we were never evolved to have, sugar water around, that our blood sugar spikes so high that our body overcompensates, releases excess insulin to drive the blood sugar down. We actually overshoot and become hypoglycemic. Our blood sugars drop down lower than they were when we were fasting before we even drank the sugar in the first place. And so our body thinks we're going to a famine or something, shoots all this fat into our blood, these triglycerides, leads to all sorts of negative adverse consequences. And so then the question is, okay, well, what if you do the same thing with fruit? In fact, what if you add the same amount of sugar, tablespoon of sugar, but then you added an extra tablespoon of sugar, but in fruit form? So what they did is just added berries. So added a tablespoon of sugar worth of berries, the amount of sugar found in how much was a lot of berries. But so they added it in addition to the tablespoon of sugar. So they now, instead of 1 tablespoon, now they're using 2 tablespoons of sugar, but one of those tablespoons is in fruit form. And you say, well, it'll be even worse, right? Because you all of a sudden got more sugar. But in fact, it is significantly better. The blood sugar spike is actually less so, more sugar, but less of a spike. None of that undershoot, none of that excess triglycerides in the blood, and so does not have the adverse effects. At first, we thought it was just the fiber from the fruit gelling in our stomach, slowing the rate at which the sugar left our stomach, but even certain fruit juices have similar effects. You don't get the same kind of blood sugar spike you do just eating straight sugar water. And we found out that there's these polyphenols, these brightly colored pigments often in fruits and vegetables. These phytonutrients actually block the absorption of sugar at the intestinal wall, and so actually slow the absorption of sugar throughout the small intestine. And so you get less of this blood sugar spike when we get it from natural sources, the way our bodies were intended to be exposed to sugar. That's in whole fruit form. And in fact, taken to the extreme, Dr. Jenkins' lab up at the University of Toronto, the guy that invented the glycemic index, had people eating up to 20 servings of fruit a day just as an experiment to see, what is there some limit to how much fruit you could eat? I mean, that's the amount of fructose found in bottles of soda. And did not see negative effects, didn't get the sugar, the fatty liver and the increased calm blood pressure. In fact, saw beneficial effects to stuffing their face with as many fruit as they could throughout the day. And in fact, that global burden of disease study I was talking about found that the number one dietary risk factor for death in the world, what's the worst thing about the human diet? Is it, Twinkies? Is it too much processed meat? No, the number one killer is inadequate fruit consumption.
Whoa.
Killing more people than anybody else. And so I encourage people to make sure they get lots of fruit in their daily diet, and particularly berries, which are probably the healthiest fruits, just as dark green leafy vegetables are the healthiest vegetables.
So you can't eat too much fruit, and actually what you just said is not eating enough fruit could be a very, very big danger for you.
I mean, you could drop a watermelon on your foot and hurt yourself or something, but that's about the extent of fruit harm.
Okay. So here's what I wonder about is we're talking about the healthiest diet being a whole food plant-based, definitely lots of fruits, lots of vegetables. I'm wondering what your opinion is, Dr. Greger, on why this is still such a secret. I took my kids to the doctor about a week ago. The doctor said, so what do you feed them? I said whole food plant-based. I'm not going to lie, she looked horrified. With great concern, like an almost pity in her eyes. What's
great
going
concern
on? Why?
As to her future paycheck?
I don't know about that. I think she really feels that perhaps they're not being properly taken care of. Why is this still such a secret?
Well, it's simple ignorance. I mean, doctors have a severe nutrition deficiency in education. Most doctors were just never taught the impact health and nutrition can have on the course of illness, so they graduate without this powerful tool in their medical toolbox. Now, look, there's institutional barriers too, time constraints, lack of reimbursement. In general, doctors simply aren't paid for counseling people on how to take better care of themselves. Of course, the drug companies also play a role in influencing medical education and practice. You can ask that pediatrician when's the last time they were taken out to dinner by Big Broccoli. It's probably been a while.
Yeah.
So, look, I mean, she just needs to educate her. So, you can point her to the American Dietetic Association, now called the Academy of Nutrition Dietetics. It was the largest, oldest association of nutrition professionals in the world. Their 2017 position statement very clearly states that strictly plant-based diets are appropriate for all stages of the life cycle, from childhood, pregnancy, breastfeeding, old age, and in fact offers all these benefits in terms of chronic disease. And you can even get her, the 7th edition of Child and Baby Care, Dr. Spock's famous book. This is probably one of the best-selling books in human history. The most esteemed pediatrician of all time. In the last edition of his book, he wrote in his 90s, before he died, the 7th edition, he recommends that all children be raised with zero exposure to meat and dairy, because he could see, this obesity epidemic on the horizon, see what everyone's grandparents were dying from. And so maybe that will help open their mind.
Yeah, perhaps a copy of your wonderful book, How Not to Die, as well. And I just want to mention right now that you do have a cookbook just about to come out. Let's get that information right away.
How cool is that? December
I'm very excited.
5th, we are 5 days away. And in fact, New York Times Review Book calls it their favorite cookbook of the season. How cool is that?
Yeah, and it's filled with recipes with whole food plant-based. Is that right?
What a concept. In fact, it's not just recipes, that have, every single ingredient of every single recipe is a whole plant food. So it's all green light ingredients, no added salt, sugar, fat, oil, nothing like that. It's just all healthy. Like the more you eat, the healthier you are. We're really excited for people to start trying stuff out. I can't
wait.
Crossed. We'll see.
I can't wait. So people can get that on Amazon. They can pre-order, right?
They can get it anywhere, but they can certainly pre-order now. And so we'll have a big first week push to get it out, and hopefully it'll bounce up and become the instant New York Times bestseller that the original How Not to Die was. This is the How Not to Die cookbook.
Can't wait. And I'm going to be bringing my copy on the cruise to get you to sign it.
Oh, fun. Let's do it.
So fun. So, okay, now, if we're eating a whole food plant-based diet, here's another question that comes up all the time. For kids and for adults, what about multivitamins? Are they needed?
They are not needed. There are, however, 2 vitamins that one cannot get from plants. One is vitamin D, which is made by animals such as yourself when you walk outside. It's the sunshine vitamin. Unfortunately, some places at this time of the year at such latitudes where no matter how long you sunbathe naked out in the Boston Commons, you're not going to be making enough vitamin D in January, February. Sun's rays are just not going to quite do it for us. And look, no matter where you live, you could be living in Phoenix. It doesn't matter if you're inside all day. It's something like desk job or something, not getting enough midday sun. So for anyone not getting enough sunlight, they need to supplement their diet with vitamin D. So I recommend 2,000 international units a day for those getting inadequate sun. And the only other vitamin not made by plants, so the rest of our nutrients we should all get from the produce aisle, not the supplement aisle, with the exception of vitamin B12, which is not made by animals, not made by plants, not made by animals either. It's made by little microbes that blanket the earth. So, we could get, B12 from, drinking, out of a mountain stream or well water or something. But now we chlorinate the water supply to kill off any bacteria. So we don't get a lot of B12 in our water anymore. Don't get a lot of cholera either. That's a good thing that we live in the age of sanitation. So our fellow great apes get all the B12 they need eating bugs, dirt, and feces. I prefer supplements. And so 2,500 micrograms of cyanocobalamin, 2,500 micrograms of the cheapest B12 out in the market, once a week. All the B12 you need. It costs about $5 a year. But yeah, critically important for anyone eating plant-based in the modern world. So
B12 and vitamin D, if you are taking a multivitamin, are you putting yourself in danger?
Well, so some multivitamins have iron. We should not be taking supplemental iron unless we know that we need it. And same thing with vitamin A, beta-carotene, vitamin E. All of those have separately been found to either increase overall mortality, such as in the case of vitamin E, or increase risk of lung cancer in smokers for beta-carotene. Vitamin A also associated with increased morbidity, and so there's certain. So yeah, and so basically there are multivitamins that have less of these harmful components than others, but certainly there's these studies that have compared the health of people that take multivitamins to have not found benefit as of yet.
And this is true for children too?
Those, the studies have not been done on children. And so, ideally we should be feeding kids healthy diets, not giving them supplements. Supplements in whether it's the latest thing sprayed on their fluorescent marshmallow breakfast cereal, or in pill form.
Okay, so now I'm going to pretend that I have ESP, but I'm going to guess that you are on a treadmill right now, aren't you?
Of course, I'm on a treadmill. That's one of my daily dozen is daily exercise.
I know, and I know, you got me into my walking treadmill desk, which has changed my life. So thank you so much for that.
I'm so glad. Isn't it awesome? People don't understand.
It's changing. Everybody must have one. Everybody must have one.
You just kind of forget you're doing it, right? And then you're on a call or something. It's like 2 hours later. Wait a second, I've been walking for 2 hours. It's just so cool.
Yes, it's great, and it's great for my type A multitasking personality, and I'm sure that appeals to you as well with all the work that you're doing. But that brings up a question, because I know that exercise is one of the biggest confusions people have on how much, how long. But before we get into that, you're on a walking desk. When you're doing work, you cannot be walking that fast, 2.6, 2.7, something like that. So my question is, if you get a walking treadmill desk, because all my colleagues are asking me this, do you need to also do like a run later in the day, or does a large amount of walking at 2.6 count?
Sadly, it's not enough.
Not enough.
And that's just because we're not getting our heart rate up. So you're walking, so I'm going 2.5 miles an hour. And the reason is because I just can't type going faster.
Right.
And so... now, so the benefit is we're not sitting, right? So what we're doing is we're not being sedentary, but that still doesn't mean we're getting our heart rate up. We're not getting any cardio. We're just not, and that's the most important muscle of the body. And so we have all sorts of metabolic benefits by keeping our by moving these largest muscles in our body and our legs, which increases insulin sensitivity and has all sorts of wonderful things on all our arteries throughout our body. And there's just all these wonderful benefits of walking, period, in terms of longevity and all sorts of things. But we also really want to get our heart rate up. And particularly for people who are older, we want to have some resistance exercises to keep their muscular strength, balance exercise. There's all sorts of various kind of dimensions of fitness that may not be encapsulated just in walking, but obviously walking is a fantastic exercise, etc. But yes, it'd be nice to take a break from walking, do a couple burpees and jump back on the treadmill.
Okay, I was going to ask you, so because I know you do about 7 hours of walking a day, do you then also do a run on the treadmill?
Oh, I should. Oh, do as I say, not as I do. Okay. Yeah, now that's something that I really need to. So there's areas of my life I need to work on. One is sleep, okay. And another is finding a way. The problem is I just can't get work done while I'm running, right? I mean, and with the sleep, I mean, I find I'm less productive when I'm unconscious, and so it's difficult to get it.
Yeah,
all
that
off.
Is a bit of a problem.
So
okay. Yeah. So how long are we supposed to be exercising for? Because I know that a lot of people are still going with 3 times a week, 20 minutes, which is not what your research shows or what the research shows.
Yeah, no, it's not what the research shows. But what it is, I mean, it's very similar to kind of dietary recommendations. They don't want to scare people off by telling people the truth. And so they say, look, if we soft pedal the message, come up with some kind of compromise kind of thing, then on a population scale, we'll do more good. And I disagree. I mean, I think it's a really patronizing attitude, and I think they should tell people the science. And look, doesn't mean you have to do it. But say, look, this is what you should, this is the ideal. And then, and then emphasize, look, any exercise better than no exercise, even 10 minutes a day. Absolutely. So, and, they can make that very clear. But they say, oh, look, but this is what the science shows. You continue to get escalating benefit for basically as long as we've had these studies. So the studies show that, exercising, half an hour a day is better than 15 minutes a day, 45 minutes better than half an hour, hours better than 45, and an hour and a half, 90 minutes a day is better than exercising. We're talking about moderate exercise, than an hour a day. And that's as far as it went, because they couldn't find enough people in these studies that are exercising more than 90 minutes a day, 7 days a week, right? And so basically they saw benefit. So a significant difference in terms of longevity between 90 and 60. And so basically it's a dose response. The more exercise, the better. Now, eventually there's some plateau somewhere, but we haven't reached it yet. And so the best available balance of evidence we have right now is 90 minutes a day is actually better. I mean, it's kind of the best that we've been able to see. And so that translates into 90 minutes of moderate exercise or 45 minutes of vigorous. And so it would be, 90 minutes of brisk walking or 45 minutes of jogging. That's kind of how it splits down to. But again, the worst possible outcome would be people throwing up their hands and say, forget it, I'm sitting on the couch all day, right?
Right.
Any amount is better than nothing. But, if we really want to know what the science says, our bodies were built to move. I mean, that's just what do you see squirrels lounging around all day? I mean, it's just, we're just kind of built. And so, it's our physiology.
And seeing you on all your interviews, always on the treadmill, I really think that you've started a trend here. I mean, I'm trying to get it here in Canada, telling all my friends and everybody about it, because everybody says they don't have time, and the walking treadmill desk takes care of that problem, because you can do a lot of things when you're on the treadmill if you have a desk.
It's wonderful.
Amazing. Okay, I'm going to go. I have still so many questions, and I know you're a busy guy, so I'm going to go right into them. So another thing that is causing a lot of confusion is aloe. Everyone and their sister around here anyway says aloe is a miracle, amazing product. I think I know that your research, or looking into the research, you may disagree with that. I would like some clarification, please.
Yeah. So, my aloe videos aren't up yet, so they're all scripted. Oh, so this is your, this is your scoop. Check it out.
Oh,
so
yeah, scoop on Straight Talk.
My aloe videos, it looks like, well, maybe I have something in volume 40. Let me see. No, I don't think so. Yeah, so they're not going to be out, God, for months even. See, I'm trying
great
to.
scoop, then.
I've got my next. Just signed a contract for my next book. Which is starting
congratulations!
Oh, thank you. I'm excited. It's going to be on weight loss, called "How Not to Diet."
Ooh, catchy title.
And so I have to script out a year's worth of videos before. nutritionfacts.org keeps going. So anyway, so I'm just doing massive amounts of scripting and research. And so I did all these aloe videos, but no one's going to get to see it unless they're listening to your program.
Yay. So
all right. So you can choose your topic, and I can go with it. Okay, so is aloe vera? So here's the video titles. Is aloe vera effective for blood pressure, inflammatory bowel, wound healing, and burns? That's one. Another one, aloe vera, is it the best treatment for lichen planus, which is an oral condition? Aloe as a treatment for advanced metastatic cancer. That sounds juicy. Can aloe cure cancer? That's a 2-part series. And then aloe vera for psoriasis. So you got 6 you could choose from.
Yes, but they're not out.
No, they're not out. But what do you want to hear?
I want the juicy ones. Cancer.
Oh, you're gonna go straight to the cancer.
I'm going straight to the cancer.
All right, let's see what it says about cancer. Okay. Okay. So the first, I started the video talking about the use of aloe vera gel for radiation-induced skin burns, which are, so we're talking about radiotherapy. Right. So radiation treatments for cancer. The problem is that you can't irradiate the internal cancer without the radiation going through your skin.
Right.
And so people get all sorts of, horrible skin burns. And so they said, well, hey, aloe works so much better, so good for burns. Why don't we put aloe? And it turns out it doesn't work at all. Compared to a placebo gel, absolutely no, same amount of painful, scarring skin reactions, period. Okay, so, blah, blah, blah. But then, so the transition says, well, forget just trying to, figure out the treatment. What about aloe vera itself as a cancer treatment? So there was all this exciting in vitro data, meaning the test tube kind of petri dish data, and the question is, does it actually work in people? And we didn't know until 1998. It was 15 patients with advanced untreatable cancer were treated with 20 drops of an aloe extract, which was made by soaking 1 part aloe leaves to 9 parts 40-proof alcohol. And the aloe group appeared to do better, nearly twice as likely to either have a partial response or at least some stabilization of the disease, and most importantly, improved survival. And so I show the survival curve. So, for example, 6 months out, 80% of the aloe group were still alive, whereas more than half of the non-aloe group were dead. And the researchers conclude that we should be recommending aloe for advanced and treatable cancers because there weren't any side effects, and it seemed to help in those 3 components. And but the problem with and there was a number of studies that showed this, and I go through each of the studies. But the problem with these studies is that they weren't randomized. Mm-hmm. So yes, half the patients got aloe, half the patients didn't, but they weren't randomly assigned. And so if sicker patients were intentionally or unintentionally placed in the non-aloe control group, that could explain the apparent aloe benefit. And the problem, I end the first video with saying the problem is there haven't been any randomized studies on aloe for advanced cancer until now. And then I go into the second video. Mm-hmm. Can aloe cure cancer? Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I'm pulling it up. I don't even remember what the research said. That's the nice thing. I do it so many stuff. All right, here we go. I'm done.
I love it.
Okay, so So I talk about there's all these anecdotal testimonials, blah, 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 but what we really need is the science. And so there's this recent case report. Oh, that was really cool. So this 64-year-old Hispanic woman, tumor on her eyeball, and of course I show the video, and it's really nasty. A classic case of what's called ocular surface squamous neoplasia, it's kind of eye cancer. And so they say, look, you got to just do surgery and remove it. But she said, nope. I'm not going to do surgery. A friend told me to use aloe vera eye drops. And the doctor said, I would not advise that. And she said, I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. And it was just some off-the-shelf aloe vera product. And to the doctor's surprise, the lesion significantly improved after just 1 month. They show all the pictures. 2 months later, it was gone completely. Dun, 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 dun. And
wow.
Then, they're writing this 6 years later. Cancer was gone, stayed gone. And normally, of course, you got to cut the thing out. And even after you cut it out, the recurrence rate is most people actually the cancer comes back. So the fact, because you can't miss the little cancer cells on surgery.
Right.
So here, the tumor disappeared without surgery at all. And so the only question in that case was, were we sure it was cancerous in the first place? Because she refused a biopsy. So it really did look like cancer and had all these blood vessels going to it. And I mean, it was really a classic visual case. But the fact that but you know, we can't say for sure unless there was biopsy. So basically they conclude by saying we still want to cut it out, but if you're not going to cut it out, at least you should try some aloe vera drops. Okay. But that was just single case report, no control group, and so there haven't been a controlled study until, here we go. Hundreds of patients, wow, big study, hundreds of patients, metastatic cancer randomized. That's the word we want to hear, randomized to receive chemotherapy with or without aloe. And the aloe group had, 3 times the number of complete responses, significantly greater, objective tumor responses, meaning, you know, you see it shrink on scans and stuff, and 2/3 had some level of disease control compared to less than half of the non-aloe group. And the question is, okay, yeah, but do they actually live longer, right? Does this translate? Who cares if the tumor shrinks if you don't actually live longer? And does it translate into improved survival? Yes!
Oh, so it's good.
So at 1 year, 70% of the aloe group was still alive, whereas most of the non-aloe group were dead. And as a bonus, the chemo was better tolerated in the aloe group, less fatigue, better maintenance of their immune system, so better disease control, better survival, and we would suggest that aloe is a successful add-on therapy in terms of both tumor regression and survival time, and you heard it here first.
Wow. So aloe vera is a good thing.
Oh, well, for this, if you have cancer, if you have advanced metastatic cancer, yes, but it does all sorts of other bad stuff.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Okay, so there's obviously more to find out. We're only going to find that out in a year from now?
No, in the next couple months. This is in volume 43 right now, or volume 38 or something like that. So it'll be a while, but it'll get there.
It will get there. Okay.
And if anyone missed it, well, they should have been listening to the program.
Yeah, they should have been, indeed. And I'm going to have you back with all those cliffhangers. So I do have a few more questions, but I also know that you're a busy guy. Can we get 5 more minutes with you, or do you have to go?
1 more minute.
1 more minute. Okay, let's see here. Intermittent fasting. Your thoughts?
Oh, that was exactly the topic I was working on before the new book deal came through. So I got about half through, and then in fact, I was going to do a webinar on it. Also, it's a really juicy topic and much more complicated than I ever realized. And so there's this competing body of evidence. One saying, oh, we should delay eating, and put eating within a certain small window of time and fast, 18 hours a day or something. The other body of evidence saying, oh my God, chronobiology. No, we have to. It's important for our circadian rhythms to eat early, in fact, push calories to the beginning of the day. All sorts of really interesting research. And we will have to wait until the next book is done for me to come to the thrilling conclusion.
Coffee, good or bad?
Coffee, good or bad? In my chapters in How Not to Die on Liver Disease, Depression, and Parkinson's, I discuss the benefits of coffee for the liver, mind, and brain. Coffee drinkers do live longer than non-coffee drinkers, lower cancer rates overall, but Coffee may worsen acid reflux disease, bone loss, glaucoma, and urinary incontinence. So bottom line, I do not recommend drinking coffee, but mainly that's because every cup of coffee is a lost opportunity to drink something even healthier, a cup of green tea.
Dr. Greger, you are changing so many people's lives. I'm so grateful to have you back. What do you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy to be the good news that we have tremendous power over our health, destiny, and longevity. The vast majority of premature death and disability is preventable with a plant-based diet and other healthy lifestyle behaviors. And if people just realize that, I could retire to some island paradise somewhere.
It's always a pleasure, and I'll see you on the cruise with my How Not to Die cookbook. On that note, how do people find you?
At nutritionfacts.org.
A nonprofit, amazing site. Thank you so much, Dr. Greger, for being on Straight Talk.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
We'll be right back on Straight Talk with Sandra Reish.
Opinions, options, answers. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Join the therapist who is affectionately known as the Couple Whisperer, Sandra Reish, on her famous couple retreats and change your life forever. Sandra offers couple retreats in beautiful locations several times a year that can radically change your love life. Couples describe her retreats as life-changing. Regain that loving feeling, bring your intimacy to a new level, and rediscover excitement and joy. Find out more at helpforanxietydepression.com or call 514-796-4357. We all want love and safety. Now you can have it. Call 514-796-4357 or helpforanxietydepression.com.
Spa Munari is a full-service wellness day spa located at the heart of West Island, Quebec. Submerge yourself in beauty with one of our many treatments, specially catered to your needs. We offer facials, manicures, pedicures, hair removal, massages, body treatments, and so much more. Enjoy our ultimate relaxation experience with our spa packages. We offer a men's menu as well. Call us today to book your next appointment at 514-695-5040 or visit us on the web at spamunari.com. That's 514-695-5040 or spamunari.com.
Change your life forever with the latest cutting-edge products for home study treatment for anxiety, featuring the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and host of Straight Talk, Sandra Reish. Sandra is joined by top therapist Georgia Dow in this revolutionary anxiety videos therapy series. Thousands of people have benefited from this scientifically proven treatment approach. Isn't it time you chose yourself? Visit anxiety-videos.com right now. That's anxiety-videos.com and change your life forever.
Your life, your health, your network. Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reish.
Well, now, talking with Dr. Greger is always like something really special. And he's such a busy guy, so we really only had a little time with him. I'll try to get him back because I know many of you will have questions and comments because he is the world's doctor, really, and an expert on so much. I cannot recommend his book, How Not to Die, enough. I cannot recommend the cookbook that's coming out enough. And no, there's no business angle here at all. As I said, all of Dr. Greger's work is done with complete nonprofit. Like, he does not make any money at all on his books. Like, I find that so amazing. But as you see, he really gets a kick out of going through research. Now, I'll tell you why I feel this is so relevant to the whole nature of the show, Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. Everything on the show that I try to present to the very kind people listening to me is about living your best life, and this concept of the fact that we have more control over our lives than we realize. So nutrition's yet another aspect where getting information out is so important. And it doesn't mean that you have to start eating plant-based. It doesn't mean that you have to follow this way. It's just good to have information so that you can make your own decisions. And that's really my mission statement for Straight Talk with Sandra Reish, is to get that information out to you so you can make your own choices. We have a lot more ability to dictate the way our lives go. And I know many of you listening might be saying, oh, who cares? We're all going to die anyways. And there's another doctor, a colleague of Dr. Greger's actually, who answers this very well and says there's a very big difference on we're all going to die, but it's not when we're going to die, it's how we're going to die. And there's a big difference between dying a peaceful death and a very painful death. And certainly nutrition plays a huge role in the quality of our lives. And I really wanted you guys to hear a little bit about Dr. Greger's work. If you go on his site, nutritionfacts.org, and this is what I do all the time, if you want to know some of my life, is that whenever there's, I see an article in the paper that says oil is good, oil is bad, I go on Dr. Greger's site and I punch in oil, and what he does is he goes through study after study after study, and he finds out all the information so that, like he likes to say, busy people like you don't have to, because we don't have time to do that. So, a few reviews of today's topic that I think are a really good takeaway, no matter what diet you're on or what, nutrition program you believe in, is that fruits and vegetables, you cannot eat too much of them. They're fabulous. And I know me personally, people are always telling me, but it must get very boring. It really doesn't. As if you guys write to me, and you often do, and you want to know recipes, I'll be happy to share some. We can even talk about that on future shows. Very interesting stuff about eating healthy foods. And the other thing that comes to mind from what he said is that we need to ask more questions. I don't know if it caught your attention. It certainly caught mine when he was talking about the fact that our governments and our administrations know that, for example, we need 90 minutes of exercise a day, but they sort of feel that we can't handle the truth. And Dr. Greger said he finds that very patronizing. And I have to agree. I think that it is hard to do 90 minutes of exercise a day, but isn't that something we want to know so we can work towards it? Now, what they're showing a lot in research is that sitting is the new smoking. And as a psychotherapist myself, last 2 years I've been sitting a lot, and it is not a good thing, which is where the treadmill desk came in. We start to get pain, we start to get a lot of problems in our body. So something to really think about is to try, how can you get more movement in your life? I think that the treadmill desk is something to consider. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed, all of you, Dr. Greger. And I really would invite all of you to, as you all so often do, is to write me. Let me know if this was a topic that spoke to you so we can try to get him back. He's a very busy guy, but usually once a year or so I can get him on. So let me know how that was for you. And I guess at this point, we're at the point of the show where I have to sadly say goodbye. It goes so fast. I enjoy so much doing Straight Talk, and I really enjoy the feedback on how all of you are learning to really make your lives better. It's really a fabulous thing. So sadly, that's all the time we have left today. So I'd like to thank again Dr. Greger from nutritionfacts.org for coming on Straight Talk. And I'd like to also thank our sponsor, which is spaminary.org. If you are in the Montreal region and you want to take some time to go take care of yourself and do something nice for yourself, spaminary.com. spaminary.com, or you can call them at 514-695-5040. We didn't talk with Dr. Greger about the importance of relaxation and what stress does to our bodies, but we know from research that stress does horrible things to our body, and definitely something to be considered, to take some time and go to a spa. I was at one yesterday. I was at a different kind of spa. It was very good feeling for me. Now, I forgot to say, and it's important that you know that if you go to Spaminary or if you call them and you mention that you're a Straight Talk listener, they will give you 15% off, which is a beautiful thing. I'd like to really thank all of you for listening week after week to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish, and all your feedback. It means so much to me. I'd like to invite all of you to come back next week for another interesting topic. I promise we're going into some huge topics as we go towards Christmas. If you are interested in our retreats, therapy, or any other media that was mentioned on this show or previous shows, check out helpforanxietydepression.com. And if you don't know this already, if you want to receive some amazing free gifts or hear previous shows, check out straighttalksandrareach.com. If you put the /radio gifts at the end of that, you'll receive some amazing free gifts. Check out also the Facebook Straight Talk with Sandra Reach site. Don't be shy to push like on it or to leave a question. And know that you can hear this and any prior show as a podcast on my website, straighttalksandrareach.com, on the podcast app of your iPhone, on iTunes under Straight Talk with Sandra Reach. Drop me a comment or a question anytime at info@helpforanxietydepression.com. And if you are a professional and you're looking for keynote speakers or training on anxiety, depression, emotional regulation, or just living a purposeful life, remember that I'm your source for evidence-based practice and education. So my name is Sandra Reach, and I do promise I'll help you learn to live your best life again next Thursday, same time, same channel. In the meanwhile, this is Straight Talk with Sandra Reach, and keep your eyes on the stars.
Thank you for listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reach. We hope you've enjoyed today's show, and we'll tune in again next Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Health and Wellness Channel. Now, go live your best life.